You join us here again at Duke's Meadow in Woodbridge. We visited this project back in the spring and then the summer. Now it's early autumn in October and we get to see the final end result of the window installation. Over here on the front elevation we've now got the front door and its big screen elements around it installed. You can see really clearly here how the Velfac system works with the consistent sight lines continuing up to the underside of the eaves. And then we've got various aluminium trims here that cover parts of the building where the different angles interact with each other. We've got over here the punched hole windows that we saw on the previous videos, and now installed the aluminium sill flashings that shed the water away from the building. The Velfac system has integrated sill flashings that we can choose to have or not have depending on the individual detail on the project. Over here on this corner window we can see how the rendered soffit interacts with the black windows and the red brick. We've got again various aluminium flashings here, the sill pressing which continues all the way round the corner. The aluminium cladding here, if you remember previously, there's a structural steel post here with fire rated board cladding to it. And over on this side we've got an aluminium pressing to close the reveal, where otherwise the cavity between the external brickwork and the internal timber frame would be visible. These reveal flashings are not something that we usually supply, but in this instance they've worked really well because the setback of the window is so big and the brickwork didn't return into the cavity. We've used a rolled edge profile here to give more rigidity to the normal 1.5mm aluminium sheet. Over here we've got the big library window, and again you can see how the aluminium sill flashing has been added since the last video. Really shows off nicely the brick detailing here with the contrasting direction of the brickwork. Over here on the outside of the atrium space you've got the Velfac fixed windows above an internorm slider here, and so you can see how the internorm slider and the Velfac system work quite well together and they share similar sight lines. So it all looks quite well nicely integrated even though there's different products. Let's go around towards the front of the house and to the living room area where we've got the big Velfac corner windows that meet the structural steel posts. Again, in this area of the building we've got the corner windows that meet the rendered soffit, just on a much bigger scale than the other window at the other corner. You can see again the mitered sill flashings, how they line up because they've got jointing plates underneath them that make sure that the two surfaces align, and then this aluminium pressing that's surface mounted to timber packers that are inside the Velfac system and factory fitted to the windows. With the Velfac system there's a number of shadow gaps designed in. So you've got a shadow gap here where there's a junction between a window and an aluminium cladding, and the shadow gap at the head where you can see the line of the flashing continues around at the same level as the window, maintaining that shadow gap. That also continues at the bottom, so you end up with a really simple system with lots of horizontal lines and vertical lines all aligning precisely. As we continue round this screen you go from the corner steel to the straight steel, and you can see how again in the Velfac system you can use a flat version of the corner post which we call a top hat. It's kind of a top hat shape and that creates the same aesthetic as a corner, so this line can continue all the way round the three sides of this element of the building. From the inside here you can see how you're going to have these really lovely views of the garden once this area is complete. It's so much quieter and still in here now that everything's sealed up. You can really feel the air quality internally. Over here you can see where our team have done the Ilbrook i3 airtightness tape and patched over the brackets that we used to install, and you can see a bit of the timber packers here from the inside that accept that aluminium cladding that's on the outside of the steel post. So eventually this will all be boarded over with plasterboard. Then over here at the bottom of the Velfac casement door, we can see a bit of the final detail of this polished concrete floor that was in situ when we surveyed originally, and how it lines up now with the Velfac threshold. This will eventually all be cleaned down, and then a final silicone seal applied across the edge here just to finish the joint. Using the airtightness tape, this project overall it achieved 0.6 air changes per hour air tightness, which is to passive house standards, so that's really good level of performance. Here we've got one of the huge windows that's in the kitchen here, so you can see how we're going to get a really amazing view of the garden when this is all finished, and use it as quite a functional space for the light coming in. Over here from the gallery over the central open plan area, you can really see the big Velfac windows and how they're orientated. So the south of the building is facing this way, the idea being that the sun in the summer doesn't directly hit the glass. You've got a large canopy over the top of the windows as well to provide some solar shading so that overheating doesn't become an issue here. In this bedroom you've got one of the sort of slot windows that mimics the small square windows around the building but in a different proportion. This one's got a nice view up the road to the garage, so a nice little place to keep an eye on what the neighbours might be doing. So we were saying earlier that the building achieved a 0.6 air changes per hour air tightness, which is what you require for passive house certification. This is not a certified passive house, but we were just speaking to Harry, the client, and he confirmed that a later test it's now down to 0.4, so that's well in advance of passive house, and even way ahead of UK building regs requirements. Another one of the bedroom windows here, this time facing more towards Martlesham Creek and Martlesham Wild Nature Reserve. You can just about make out a view of the horizon over there above the trees, but lots of nice mature planting here, and when the garden's all done it's going to be a lovely spot to look out of the window. Over here next to the front of the building there's some really interesting details with the roof soffits. So you've got this rendered soffit again here, like how we looked at round the corners where it interacts with the windows, but here it comes down and then starts to kick up again under the main front entrance screen. And then that's complemented by how the standing seam roof facets round the corner. Because this side of the building is so low relative to the front elevation, the street elevation, you really see that, and it really pays off the attention to detail there. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to see the other videos on this project from the spring and the summer, check them out in our channel. Let us know if there's any particular details you want us to focus on in the future. Give us a like and a comment, and make sure to subscribe.